Welcome to J-Pop Kissa. Take a break. Picture this, a cozy table in a retro Japanese cafe. And you've just joined me here. I'm Terrence, a longtime fan of J-Pop and Japanese entertainment, especially since the 90s. So while we sip on something warm, I'll share what's been on my mind about the music, dramas, and movies and more from this amazing culture. So let's take a break together. Well, but to begin, this is the first episode or first chat for us. So I'm very glad you are listening to this. Again, my name is Terrence. I have been such a huge fan of everything Japanese culture since I was little. So I was actually born in Hong Kong, and growing up, I saw a lot of different animes that they would show on TV. I remember when we had our first revolving sushi restaurant as well. So that was always something that had a huge influence on me. And then I moved to the States, and still then, I remember still reading the manga when I was a kid. But then what really got me obsessed in a way were the music and the shows that I would watch. I remember that I would watch the end of the year program, they call it Kohaku, and they would air it actually locally on TV. And just always fascinated by different artists and bands and the enka, the old style singers performing their songs, and it would always be a battle. So it was great to watch that. But also that we would have these CDs that would come out every week. And I would always watch this show that was airing locally about the countdown of the top 10 hits and the charts, and they would always say, hey, how many thousands of copies did they sell, and I would always follow that. I remember getting to a point where, I knew which artist would be coming in a few weeks, and then I would always wonder, okay, so who is going to rank first, or who's going to rank number 2? So that was such a huge deal at the time. But that's how obsessed I was. So I would follow the shows on TV. They showed music shows as well, so I watched that weekly, although they aired a few weeks late. And I would go to the local Japanese CD shop and here in the States, and I would buy something new constantly every week. I don't think I ever really got an allowance, so I actually don't remember how I had all the money to buy the CDs at the time, because Japanese CDs, if it's a single at the time, it would be about $10, and if it's an album, it would be about $33. So that's not, necessarily cheap for a teenager, but that's what I did. So back in the day, and I'll date myself when I start to talk about these artists for the ones that know about when these Japanese artists came out, I remember buying CDs from Glay, for example, a huge band of the 90s and 2000s. They're still around, but they had such amazing hits at the time, and I would buy them. I remember buying Speed, also a huge dancing girl group at the time, and I was a huge fan of Hamasaki Ayumi, who's also still around, and also Utada Hikaru, and all these just amazing artists that just populated the J-pop scene. And I would remember that even in high school and college, not a lot of people would know about J-pop at the time because YouTube wasn't around. I was pretty much the only one that talked about it, but occasionally there would be songs that people knew about. So First Love by Utada Hikaru, for example, was huge amongst the Asian American population, and obviously it's still very popular now, especially with the Netflix drama and just the influence she's had. And also, I had a friend who was Korean American, so she knew, for example, Boa, who was a Korean artist, that made her debut in Japan and also really kicked off the huge boom of Korean artists really succeeding in the Japanese music industry. So she had songs that my friend would know, and we would go to karaoke together and would sing that. So it was just such a magical time to go through my teenage years to discover all the different kind of music. And J-pop, for those that may not be as familiar, it obviously dates back many years, many decades. And I know now, city pop is something that's very popular. And all that is rooted and connected, and the music is always very melodic. And the lyrics are very different, I think, from music in English, where there is so much more emphasis on the message of the songs. What are the feelings they're trying to convey? And it sometimes can be very simple. It's about longing. It could be about nature. So growing up, as I listened more and more Japanese music, I felt like, the whole package, the message, the tone, the nuance, the feeling that the songs would convey, I could connect to with, different stages of my life, where I, whether it's going through school and not knowing what to do with my life, or moving to Japan and adapting to a new culture, then also having my own personal struggles or moments where I feel really excited and happy. I always felt like there was a song that would fit in and that would illustrate everything that I was feeling inside. So I think that's what J-pop was to me, and it still is that it gives me so much joy. It gives me a language to express myself. And even if that's internal, and even if that's just a moment where I want to listen and feel everything that I'm feeling and be like, hey, this song is exactly saying what I'm saying. And so, what I really want to say is that J-pop's huge in my life, and it's played such a big impact on everything that I've gone through, and so that's why I started this podcast, is that I really want to share this joy and love and also this built up knowledge that I've had for so many years, and I will tell people about them, but I also know that there must be more people out there in this world that also share this passion with me. And sometimes we just want to hear someone else say what they're thinking, or I would love to learn what you're all listening to as well. So this podcast is really just for you, so that you have a place to know that, hey, you are not alone in your love for J-pop, and obviously it's huge now, but I always find comfort in community, so I definitely want to build this community. But also, selfishly, it's for me. I hear so much, I read so much about J-pop, and also Japanese entertainment in general. I love everything, TV, movies, everything, and I just want to share out there in the world, and this is what gives me energy and joy and the drive to continue to do what I do every day. And so this is the beginning. I'll clearly be learning through this, so definitely would love any ideas of what you want to hear more of, and I'll hope to share more in the future episodes, where I'll share a little bit more about what's on my mind, what's been there, and hopefully I'll have guests in the future as well. And this podcast will be primarily done in English, as I figured that there may be people that don't know some of the things I may know, and I would definitely love to share more beyond Japan, what J-pop is and what the significance is, but sometimes I may do parts of it in Japanese. I would love to have someone who speaks Japanese on as a guest, and who knows, maybe eventually one day I would love to have artists come on as well. So the sky is the limit in my mind anyway. So this is the intro episode, so thanks for joining me. I can't wait to share about everything that I'm feeling and what I'm checking out, what I'm just loving these days. And until then, take care and hope you'll enjoy your next cup of J-Pop entertainment.